Today's guest is none other than Richard Elliot. Y'all stay locked and loaded. Uncut Live Productions coming at you. Yours truly, y'all know who it is. It's your boy, Mr. Uncut. Welcome to another edition of Uncut Live Productions. Y'all know the mission of Uncut Live Productions is where we focus on mind, body, soul, spirit, faith, social issues, politics, you name it. And as I always say, we keep it 100 or 1000. We will not be paused, edited, or muted. Whatever you see, hear, hey, the cards lay how they lay. And it just doesn't get no better than that. Y'all know our prior show, I had the beloved Miss Tanya Sweat. And as we had her on the set, was talking about how to have not just a Prince George's County for some, but to have a Prince George's County for all. And y'all know the mission, as you see on the sign, it says for the people. We align ourselves up with people that are about the people, the ones that are about doing the footwork, the groundwork, the ones that are involved with getting engaged, meeting and seeing the needs of the people. That is just who we are and what we are all about here on Uncut Live Productions. And as I always say, y'all, you never know who's going to be here on the set of Uncut Live. And I know when I invite individuals on the set, sometimes I get all their resume jacked up. That's just because sometimes I'm just overzealous and I just like positive energy. And you know, when you connect with like minds, just nature, the universe, you know how it all manages. And so I always tell my guests, please hold it to my head, not my heart. But then I'd be a little bit of selfish because I'd be like, you know what? I give them the baton, pass the baton to them, and let them say who they are. That way, I won't get in any type of trouble. So, without further ado,
Thank you for the intro. So I'll talk about myself real quick. I'm Richard Elliot. I'm a candidate for the House of Delegates in the 24th Legislative District. I'm currently the chair for state affairs of the Prince George's County Young Democrats, meaning that I help with shaping policy, providing opinion on legislation that's been introduced at the state, local, and state, local, and federal levels. I'm a graduate of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and recently Johns Hopkins University's political science master's program. I'm excited to sit here today with Kenneth so we can talk about some of the plans we want to do for not just District 24 and Prince George's County, but given that I'm running for a state office, things that would have statewide implications. I think housing and legislation involving the unhoused are going to be two of the particular topics we're going to have today.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule.
No problem.
And choosing to come and bless the set of Uncut Live Productions because you could have been out somewhere else, you know, out there busy, you know, canvassing, all that great, good stuff. But you chose it, not robbery, to come and bless the set of Uncut Live Productions. So I'm glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So, y'all know where my heartbeat is. My heartbeat is for the unhoused population, particularly in the state of Maryland. Um, if I'm getting this correct, I believe from the last estimate, it is about over 4,525, I believe, of individuals that are unhoused in the state of Maryland.
And I dare say that that number is significantly higher, specifically because individuals living in their cars or living in temporary housing, living between relatives, etc. I think in many ways you could say are unhoused. If any particular thing happens, whether their car gets messed up, a relationship gets ruined, they could be unhoused. So while there's an unhoused population, there's also, you could say, the housing most insecure is an enormous population. Many of those people being people working multiple jobs, barely making ends meet, and that's without even having actual housing. I have already, in my campaign, I signed on to a housing guarantee pledge. Housing is a human right. Housing is a human necessity. One not having housing so threatens their life, their livelihood, their well-being, that not providing housing, I think, is an attack on people. Our state has millions in funding from the American Rescue Plan, from the federal government through ordinary legislation, through the state government through the Rainy Day Fund. We could apply the funding now in this immediate upcoming year that could permanently end homelessness in Maryland. Senator Mary Washington, who's a mentor of mine, she has been on the committee to end homelessness, I think, for several years, and I don't think the resources have ever been offered from any of the people from above. With multiple black Congress members, with Steny Hoyer, ostensibly one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington, why are we not getting the resources that, if leaders had the will, everybody could have housing, and not just a cot, but a clean bed, clean sheets every week, nice food, better than the worst conditions people can get. And as I told Kenneth right before this, as a District 24 candidate, with the men's shelter being in the 24th legislative district, I would proudly sponsor bond legislation that would improve the conditions there so that the men who are there can live with dignity and can begin to have the opportunity to start building upwards rather than feeling like they're fighting for their lives in their own homes.
I appreciate you echoing that and making sure that, that housing is a human right. And then one of the things that concerns me while we're talking about housing is we need to make sure that we have officials that are going to make sure that when they get an opportunity to amplify the voices of the unhoused,
Mm-hmm.
and that when they have their backs put up against the wall, that they reach out in the time of need, reach out to the federal government
Mm-hmm.
to push and make sure that they are accommodated. We have an issue, believe it or not, over in Beltsville. I don't know if you know this or aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
We have over 280 beloved constituents that are being housed over at the Comfort Inn Hotel. And so, just of the day before yesterday, with Martinez of CASA,
Mm-hmm.
we held our press conference and making sure
Okay, I saw that.
that their voices are heard. We need to make sure that because of this whole crazy state of emergency,
Mm-hmm.
how the governor lifted up, so
Mm-hmm.
how we're keeping our eyes on the situation, because what's finding them, allowing them to be there in the hotel is the bill from the
rescue plan.
from the rescue plan. And so what's happening now is we need to make sure that there's a budget so that we can keep them at least housed there,
Mm-hmm.
and that they don't be displaced and dispersed.
Right.
And
Right. Because I believe in Baltimore City as well, there are unhoused people who are currently in hotels. But I think that that's also being allowed under temporary rule changes that are subject to if the state of emergency ends. While it was even a fight in Baltimore City to get people into hotels and out of the streets during the worst part of the pandemic, I also want to acknowledge a very, very big, terrible event that's going to be happening tomorrow, and that's the eviction moratorium is going to be ending nationally. The CDC's eviction moratorium is ending. Legislators have shown in the past year, in Maryland, for example, with our Democratic supermajority, they refused to call a special legislative session to prevent evictions, to provide money, to provide immediate cash assistance for renters, and that was in the height of the pandemic. If legislators are showing themselves to be, for concerns to fall on deaf ears regarding tenants, then the unhoused are going to be thoroughly unrepresented. I want to be on the committee that relates to housing, and I would support, again, housing as a human right, preventing any Marylanders from having to live in the streets or live in a hotel.
Y'all, these are the kind of concerns, social issues that we have to be engaged. Not only just be engaged from a political standpoint, but to also be engaged from my clergy community, for the nonprofits to get involved and to help amplify the voices for the houseless, homeless community, because these are the what we should be fighting for. Having the basic needs. Do we need to go back to what is called the Maslow hierarchy of needs? We've been talking about, y'all have heard me talk about this so many times on this platform, talk about the senseless gun violence that's just plaguing all our country. Doesn't even matter, not just DMV native, but that. And we don't necessarily think about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you think about that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it covers what? Food, clothing, sense of belonging, and the thing about it is, if your housing is not together, the pathway in which it can put one to a stressful situation, to where that they will go into a panic mode, or they will go into maybe indulge in some behavior that might be a harm to themselves or harm to somebody else. We don't think about this whole thing. I mean, it's good that we have policies. Don't get me wrong. It's good that we have people, but I think we also need to look at it, just from the, like you said, housing is a human right. This is
and a necessity.
It's a necessity. This is not like we're saying we want Fuji water. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want right. We want a sirloin Angus beef steak. No, we're just saying, hey, housing is a human right, and it has to be at the top of the list. It's no reason why in this country, that our homeless rate, our homeless population, is neck and neck with some of these third and second world countries. So it's like,
and I think the unfortunate other side of that is that not only do we have a huge unhoused and housing insecure population, but
we know right when it was getting good, it ended. Y'all continue to stay locked and loaded and continue to follow Uncut Live Productions, as our guests will be back on the set, and you can follow up with Richard Elliot on all social media platforms to get involved and to get engaged.
Washing my hands, see proof of my affliction. No more hacking astray, no more cries when I pray. I go deeply luminous, I go deeply luminous, I'm jumping out the window with this one.
Uncut Live Production.
Jumping out the window with this one.